everybody, and welcome to another edition of the One Step Better podcast. I'm Mike Schaefer, and with me, of course, is Matt Patrick.
I was just here.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Happy to do it.
Glad
Love
to
it.
see you. You look like you're wearing the same outfit as last week.
I think I accidentally was wearing the exact
Yeah.
same thing this week.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think
You are too.
we can't let people into our secret right now.
That's right.
Yeah, this is technically being recorded the same day as we did record last week, but
Yes.
we're going out of town. We're gonna have some vacations, some firm events coming up, and so
I
we're
don't
trying
have
to
any
knock out a couple
vacation
of these
plan,
things.
Mike.
I don't believe you. I guarantee you by the time that this podcast drops, you would have gone on at least one type of vacation in some way, somehow, somewhere.
Mate.
Bet you $100
Maybe.
right now on air. $100
Yes, I can do that.
done. $100 bet. By the time this podcast
this
drops,
may never air again.
No, I'm gonna pay
her
Becky $50 to drop it like
right
next
after my
year.
vacation. Right after my vacation.
So
The bet has to end by.
oh no, you already said yes, so we can't go back and
That's
revise
fine. I'll
it.
just take it as
Sucker.
we talked about last week. I'll just take a payroll deduction. I've already got you signed off on the handbook.
It's only a problem if somebody calls you on it. So
Right.
there you go. Well, Matt, today is going to be a topic that is a little bit up your alley. And we deal with a lot of small businesses. And one of the things that constantly comes up in the small business world is I want to bring people on my team that are really close friends or relatives. And maybe sometimes it's, hey, I need to help my uncle out and give him a job. Sometimes it's, man, I got this
Got a
really
kid?
good friend that is going to be really sharp. I think you really do a really good job. But how do I do that in the right way to set everybody up for success, both in the
Mhm.
business and the people that I am looking to bring on, and something that you have some experience in because you've had
More
some
than I
family,
wish. Yeah.
sometimes more than I wish.
Yeah.
Some family that's joined you here. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, some of the pitfalls, things to watch out for with working with friends, family, get your perspective on whether or not that is always a bad idea, sometimes a bad idea, or maybe never a bad idea, which I don't think is going to be your answer, but we'll talk about that a little
It's
bit.
a bad idea, Mike. Let me just be real clear on the front. No, it's not.
It's not always.
I've had
We can't give away our teaser, man.
3 family members in this business work, and then I had my other business. I had both my mom and my dad work for me as well.
3. Yep.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, we always got to start with our icebreaker. And so here's your question for the day, Mr. Patrick. What sparked your curiosity in whatever it is that you're most curious about now? So whatever it is that you're really kind of into.
On the personal side, I've taken up flying lessons, where I am
good one.
learning to be a pilot. I've really I enjoyed the thinking part of it a lot more than the actual physical flying part of it. You have to really be thinking and concentrating, which is always a struggle for me. But I've enjoyed the idea of learning something new. I'm kind of always interested in learning something new.
What first got you curious to the point of, hey, you know what? I want to go try get my pilot's license.
I'm tired of being in a car when I go every place. I think I can get there faster if I'm in a plane.
Are you talking about maybe for that vacation you're going to take before this podcast?
Whenever I get
drops?
my $100, I'm gonna go pay it towards some new pilots. No, I like the idea of having the opportunity maybe to get some places I want to go faster, but I also just like the adventure of trying to learning something new. So what my first thing was, I always liked the idea of trying to learn something new.
So, but with that, like, there's got to be the sense of flying and in control of an airplane
It's pretty cool.
is pretty darn cool.
It's really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that part a lot. There are some scary parts. So I told you this. We've been practicing stalls, which when they told me we were going to intentionally stall the plane multiple times in one flight, I went, "Well, we don't have to do that."
Did you wear a parachute that day?
No, but I wore a diaper. No, but that was not nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be. The scariest part when the trainer showed me how it worked first, and he stalled the plane, because I don't know when he was going to turn it back on. I didn't know how far we were going to drop before he decided to turn it back on.
Is this a death wish that this guy has,
I'm like,
and now you're
"Oh, man,
participating?
this sucks." But when you're in control of the plane, it's not hard to, when you have a stall, you really just put the nose down and give it gas. And guess what I do? The moment I think it's stalling, I give it gas. I'm not afraid
Your
to do it.
trainer's like, hey, Matt, you need to actually let it stall, man.
I did let it stall. I promise. I thought about stalling. It was almost stalled. So I give it gas. No, but it's been great. I've actually learned a lot. I've enjoyed it. I think, if you have opportunity to do at least a discovery flight somewhere, I think you should do it. It's a really cool experience just to kind of see what's available out there. The process is very structured. I have not felt out of control throughout the whole process. I have felt like I've been challenge to learn, which I've enjoyed.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
Personally, my personality is whenever I do get interested in something, I go all into it to a fault.
Me too.
And a couple of things that have popped up here recently on that are somewhat related. Gardening and raising chickens are something
So
that
gardening
we've
does not sound fun, Mike.
gotten into. I
It's
like
so
being
hot.
outside, and anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm gonna go buy some plants at the nursery and go put them in the ground. I gotta get it or I gotta
From seed?
read all of the books about it. And is my soil perfect? And what do I need to adjust about it? Or is it in the right spot? And I just get way too
What are you kind of gardening?
involved
Are
in
you
it.
doing fruits and vegetables? Or are you doing?
Yeah, we have a lot of basil, jalapenos. We tried to grow some onions. That didn't work out very well. Strawberries, bell peppers, dill.
Tomato?
No, I don't like tomatoes. So who cares about growing tomatoes?
Carrots?
Nope, no carrots. We did. I think I told you this.
Corn?
Hudson wanted to grow some watermelon, so we did that. It was going really well, and then I ran him over with a lawnmower on accident.
You ran
no,
over Hudson with
Didn't
the
go well
lawnmower?
no, just the watermelons. And so that turned into we were at Tractor Supply one day around Easter time, and guess what they have? Little baby chicks. And Meredith and I have joked in the past about having chickens
You have a
and
chicken
goats
coop
and
now?
whatnot. So now we have a chicken coop with 6 about 15-week-old chickens that are living in our coop.
They're not egg bearing yet. I'm
Not by
guessing.
the time this podcast drop, we should.
Are they the
be
right size for a
around
nugget,
eggs.
a chicken strip, or a chicken
Man,
breast?
let me tell you, chickens grow ridiculously quickly.
Yeah, they do.
By-
If you get them bigger, it's
So
more food.
We
Yummy.
bought them, and then within a week, they weren't cute anymore. They were just
ugly
like
chickens.
stupid chickens. They're dumb, man. They're so dumb.
So
But
was
we
your
got
goal to
chicken
make eggs and
They're laying hens, and so we're gonna have some eggs.
you have a rooster?
No, I don't think you're allowed to within the city of Bartlett. I think there's an ordinance that actually
Because they
says
make a
you can't
bunch
have
of
rooster.
stupid noise.
I guess so. Even if that wasn't, I don't care about the ordinance. I'll break that rule. I don't
You
care
don't want
about
any more
that.
chickens.
But
I
I
want just
don't want
6
any more.
chickens.
Yeah,
I want 6 chickens.
Well, I don't want to have to look at the egg and think, all right, is this one fertilized or not?
Yeah.
And then you end up with, well, I'm not even going to get into that.
You have to eat a chicken that you don't want to eat.
I think
that
we
egg,
both-
that egg doesn't look as good as I want
We
to.
all understand anatomy to know what the difference between a fertilized and unfertilized egg is going to be.
Yeah, I don't want a chicken.
And so no, we got into chickens, and so have some books on
Have
that,
fun.
and
Kids liking that.
spent hours on YouTube.
They liked them when they were little and cute, didn't they?
No, they actually still do a good job with it. They'll chase them around. Emma likes to go and
I need to
just
see video of
yell
your
chicken.
kids chasing around the chickens in the backyard, Mike.
It's fun. Emma loves the chickens.
We are so in the South when I see a kid with no shoes on chasing some chickens around the
Yeah.
backyard.
The dog will chase the chickens.
I bet they do.
Uh,
What kind of dogs you have?
I just have one. It's a lab.
It's going to eat those chickens.
Let's see.
They're going to eat those chickens. You
So
better.
we put Charlotte up in her little. She has a kind of, we can gate off the back area, and so we put her up and let the chickens out to roam around the yard for a few hours.
Those are free range chickens. He's very.
I am very granola in this.
I know.
The dog got out of her area.
Tell me you start composting your own stuff. I'm out.
I'm not doing that. But the dog did chase the chickens back into the chicken coop, and they were terrified.
I bet they were. He was about to eat them
Yeah,
all.
she was. Yeah, but they survived it.
Our neighbors, when I was a kid, had chickens, and we had spaniels. And guess what? They could not keep their chickens alive, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, we haven't had the issue of any critters getting in the chicken coop yet, so that's good.
Yet.
That's good.
Have you heard any critters back there yet? Like raccoons? That's what I would be
Oh, we
afraid of.
see. I mean, where we live.
Yeah.
There's deer, raccoons, possum, fox.
So you're going to have some stuff back there.
Right now, the big debate on Nextdoor is they think that we have a wolf in the neighborhood.
Oh,
A
yeah.
true, actual, real wolf. And so there's a debate on Nextdoor saying
Not.
wolves don't exist in our area
not a
of
wolf.
Tennessee,
It's
and
a-
others are stating this is a wolf. And so there's debate on it. Was it
It's a coyote.
coy dog? Is it a coyote? Is
coyote.
it what is it? And so if you want to jump on the Davies next door and add to the conversation,
I think it's a
good one
coyote.
going.
We hear a lot of coyotes out where I live.
Yeah, we have. Yes, we have
And I
coyotes.
believe one of our dogs disappeared way back when because of a coyote, but we never all proved it.
I'm more worried about. We have like hawks, a lot of hawks. I'm more worried about the hawks getting the chickens than anything else.
Yeah, we
as
had a
let 'em out.
hawk hurt the dog before we had the
Yeah,
puncture
wounded and then
Yep.
finished. Yeah, well, that's sad. Way to bring our podcast down, Matt.
No, Buddy got back, and then we went on vacation, and
Now you
Buddy
gave him.
disappeared.
Now you told everybody his name. Now
Buddy
everybody's
was a
thinking,
cute little
Buddy.
terrier.
Oh, Buddy.
Sorry, poor Buddy.
Enough
he's
time's passed.
He's in rainbow heaven.
That's right. Running in the fields
Yeah.
of dog food. Fun.
That's right.
All right, let's jump into this. Working with family, always fun, always adventurous, not always a good idea. What's been kind of your general experience with having family friends involved in the business?
Yep. So I've had, my mother-in-law was my first employee, 2004 to 2015, 16 timeframe. And then my wife started in 2010, let's see now, 2010. My mother-in-law and I got along really well. It was very much a employee-employer relationship, except for I had somebody I could truly trust in numbers. And so she helped us with our books and that type of stuff, handled our receivables. She knew how much money was in our bank account, how much money I was making, which is a little awkward sometimes. It did create a friction at home in that when we were together with her and my wife at the time was there, she wouldn't know what's going on. She didn't, we'd talk about work all the time. Well, then when Mandy started, now the three of us are talking about work all the time, and work would never kind of stop.
The family component there kind of just
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, honestly, it happened this morning. First thing Mandy said to me was, "Hey, don't forget to do blah, blah, blah today at work," because she was going to be out of the office today. And likewise, last thing I think we talked about last night before she went to bed was something about work. Our day never really turns off. Now, it's very blended, home and personal. And if I have to go to kids something in the afternoon, or she does, like today, she's out at a volleyball tournament. Perfectly fine. But there's a blended line there. The dynamic with Mandy and I is a little bit more of a challenge because that is more of a 50-50 relationship. Probably more 100-0 with her being in the 100 and me being in the 0. But the relationship there is a little different. It's hard for me to treat her like an employee at work and then like my wife, who is at least my equal, if not better, at home. And so I often that was a struggle at first. I did do a lot of due diligence before I hired her. We have a number of clients that had husband and wives, and I wanted to talk about issues they ran into, and that was very good conversations. I feel like we do a good job at it. I feel like there's some stuff sometimes when, you kind of let your guard down, and when you're unfiltered, and sometimes I'm unfiltered with her at work when I shouldn't be. In other words, I tell her that I get mad and I'm really mad, and I tell her I'm mad as opposed to I wouldn't treat an employee that way.
Do you ever have instances? Because we've both been married long enough to know that sometimes little things just start to escalate internally, and it's
Mike, that never
man,
happens.
I'm frustrated about that, and then that turns into, hey, you forgot to send that email, and now it's really I'm not mad at you because of that, but I'm mad at you because something at home.
No, but it is I blow up on something at work that it really isn't a big deal.
Minor stuff.
Yeah, and it needs to get fixed. But I'm frustrated about it because it's like a pattern of something that we've had going on forever. They're all silly stuff usually.
Yeah.
The bigger challenge is it's holding her accountable and guiding her and coaching her. She runs our administrative team here, and she does a great job at it. But it is I'm not really her boss. I'm not really her. I don't consider her boss. I just want her to, but she is a part owner here. So
yeah,
I'm really not her boss. It just doesn't work that way. Her name's on the door too.
At the end of the day, you still got to go home.
Correct.
With your wife.
I am curious, one of the things that I'm curious about is how does that create a dynamic for the other employees? Like you've been here now long enough to know that,
I'm smart enough to know that Patrick Accounting is Matt Patrick, but it's also Mandy Patrick. And that was, from day one to know that, Mandy may not be as involved on the same level as you are with different items. And maybe she doesn't assert as much authority, and not like in a bad way, but she
has a massive influence.
Patrick Accounting, right?
Right.
And so, and you just have to be very mindful of that and understand that I'm not going to treat Mandy any different than any other employee. Right. But at the same time, I'm going to treat Mandy a little bit different from the same way that I'm going to treat Matt a little bit different because he is the owner, boss, head person.
Signs a check.
And that's just being smart
Common
from
sense.
a people standpoint. It is awkward whenever
We get into it with each other.
whenever Mandy and Matt are going at it, it's like,
We
all right,
haven't.
somebody needs to go shut that door and
I
play
have
some
to say, I
background
think we've
noise.
done a lot better at that recently.
I mean, I told you this multiple times. From when I first started here, and probably the first 2 or 3 years from working here to today, is night and day difference with that type of stuff. Because we've probably talked about it on the podcast before. Anger is a big deal in your world, and that's like it's night and day.
Well,
Different.
just for the audience, I was medicated about 4 years ago, which helps a lot in my anger issues.
But yeah, whenever Matt and Mandy get into it, it's like, all right, man, this is awkward as all get out.
We do. I can't remember last time we did it at work now.
It's been a while.
Thank gosh. Okay, yeah, I definitely don't want to do that at work.
Yeah.
And I like it when we get called out with it. So I like it. We don't fight generally. Mandy and I are pretty easygoing when it comes to that stuff nowadays, now that I'm medicated. But thank you, Effexor. If you could send me free samples, I would love it. The crap's expensive. That stuff's awesome. If you have,
I tell you what,
issues,
if you ever get to
Effexor-
the point where you still run this place and you can't afford your medication, we'll all pitch in.
yeah, thanks, Finn.
We'll buy it for you.
Yeah, it helps a lot. No, it does. What it did for me was I was letting little stuff bother me all the time.
Yeah,
And that it's gone away.
Yeah.
I think that's just stress over the years, but also just, I think it's a part of hormonal changes. So that was part of my own issues. This has gotten really personal today on the One Step Better podcast.
let me bring it back a little bit. Let me bring it back.
Yeah.
So because Mandy and both Kathy were involved here for a while and still are.
Yep.
Whenever you were bringing Kathy on way early on, there was some other things going on from the standpoint of you needed somebody and you needed somebody that you could trust. And so that was an easy way to bring somebody on that you could, like, you really just trusted. They were family, right? And that's a good thing. Has there ever been instances in which maybe it's not, maybe it's other extended family, and I don't even know if we should really talk about this specifically with you, but that you thought, man, there's no way I would hire that person, or that would just be a really bad idea.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I love my mom, but my mom's wanted to work here for a number of years. I don't think that's a good idea. My dad is, someone we worked together for a little while. The struggle that they both have is they don't have boundaries, and that's okay. I don't mind not having boundaries at home, but they don't have boundaries at work. That's a struggle. And so, I think holding them accountable, them listening and being coachable and understanding my role as a leader here versus their role that they would want to occupy here, that wouldn't work. Obviously, considering, it's my mom, it's a lot different relationship. My mom's never going to be the subservient relationship in that I'm going to be that because that's my mom.
Yeah. And I always feel like one of the hard things to do whenever you're working with close family or friends, whatever, is you have to clearly set the boundaries to say, at work, I am not dad. I am Matt.
Yep.
And that relationship at work is very different than it is outside of work.
I would say Minnie does this exceptionally well in that she treats work like work. And if she's at work, she's going to work. And now we have other responsibilities, and luckily we have the flexibility of her having a lot of home responsibilities with our children. But the reality of it is Mandy makes sure stuff gets done. I'm probably the negligible one there. But she is clearly going to make sure that she treats my role as the leader here with respect, and she's going to do what things she's supposed to do. She's a good communicator to me about where she's at with her team. That is a big challenge though, working. Now, Mallory started working with us this summer, and this is her first job of any kind. She's only 18. And one of the things I made sure I did was I made sure she does not report to me. She's on Shelby's team. She's a marketing intern. She's helping that team out, and she's working a lot with Gia and with Lacey and Maggie, just trying to help them with list management and helping us do some profiling. And I actually gave her a little project here recently. But the reality is that she's not reporting to me. It is a first job for her though. So I also want her to know that showing up to work on time is important. And if you don't need time off, you have to ask time off. And if you have a doctor's appointment, you have to communicate those things and like all the stuff that has to happen as a new job. But in the day, she also probably realizes dad's the owner, that I'd like to fire her some days, but I won't.
Yeah.
But right now, I think she's done a great job as she's come on board, and I've asked for honest feedback from everybody else. I want everybody to hold her accountable.
Yeah.
But
I would say that it was impressive whenever she started coming on board that she saw this as a job and not as I'm going to go hang out at dad's workplace,
correct.
and has done a great job of being very mindful that, because in our environment, hey, it's great. Your last name's Patrick. We'll give you a high five for that, but that doesn't earn you any credibility
Right.
here.
Keep working.
Because we have a really strong group of workers and employees.
Yep.
And so they're gonna look at her and say, "What have you done for me lately?"
Right.
I get your name's Patrick, but come on.
I need somebody to use now. And I would say this.
She has risen to that bar.
And I would say it is my expectation that she works harder than anybody else here.
So that's what I wrote down. Whenever you're bringing in family members or close friends to work for you, you have to treat them the same, but you also have to understand that everybody else has different expectations for that person. And in most ways, that person, whether it's a family member or a close friend, is going to have more expectations. They have a higher bar to meet than if somebody else had to fill that role.
I'm guilty of that. I have high expectations of my family. They're going to work here. They're going to work their asses off.
Yeah.
But it's also the same expectation I have of myself. But I will expect them to do above and beyond.
Yeah. And that's probably I don't know if it's unique or not to an environment in which you do have a quality team. If you didn't have a quality team, then that's probably not the same, the same expectation. But in our world, it absolutely is. Because if we brought in a crap employee and they just sucked, then everybody around you would be telling you about it.
Correct. But if they wouldn't tell me about my child who sucks.
But if it's yeah, correct. If it was Mallory, I don't want to pick on her because this isn't her.
Mallory, you suck. No, I'm just kidding.
But if it was Mallory,
no, first of all, I have nothing to worry about. She is not listening to this podcast.
That's so true. But if it was Mallory, you're right. The chatter would be a lot less about, hey man, she's not doing a great job. But at the same time, it would eventually come out, and you would be able to see that.
Correct.
From just
it's the same. I've coached my kids in sports, and it's the same thing. I expect my kid to work harder than everybody else, and I'm holding to a higher standard, and I expect them to, give all efforts all the time, but never complain and never be frustrated by going to practice. And that's not reality.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's my expectation of my kid. I want him to be, or him or her to be the one that I don't have to, push to show up to practice and to not be, they need to hustle all the time on and off the field or whatever they're playing. That's just how I would want my kid to be. But I know that my dad didn't. My dad probably wanted the same thing for me. I didn't do those things. And so same thing. I was a lazy kid. My son's a lazy kid. We get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing I wrote down here is it's important, especially from an other employee perspective, it's important that you don't show favor to those individuals just because of who they are. I'm not going to bring in my uncle, my aunt, whatever, even if they're going to be a rock star, person for that job, and then start to give them senior level responsibilities simply because of who they are. Now, if they earn it, that's a completely different conversation. But I'm not going to show favor to that person just because of their relationship to me instead of somebody who may be more qualified or better equipped for it.
Correct. And that is hard. I mean, I know that there's a couple of other firm members and an organization we're a part of. I know they've had handoffs from one generation to the next. And sometimes you could, from the outside looking, you're like, I'm not sure that person was ready for that role.
Yeah.
Versus, I think they were ready to hand it off and they were ready, regardless. Or they put them in roles they weren't really best suited for, and which led, that can lead to either you're trying to jam a square peg in a round hole and it's not as efficient, as good as it could be, or they just won't ever succeed. You're setting them up for failure.
Yeah. I don't think it is accurate to say that working with family or close friends is never a good idea. It can be one of the most rewarding things you can do. It has a lot of value.
Yeah,
but you have to be very, very cognizant, especially as a leader, that all eyes are on you to set the pace of how everybody else is going to behave with that relationship.
Correct. I mean, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of clients that have best friends that have formed businesses together, or partnerships that have all worked well, or they've got family, it could be parents, spouses, children, other family members that have all come in. Most of the time, the ones that are successful, they have clear lines that distinguish responsibilities and expectations, and people are held accountable to those
And they're
things.
constantly talked about with not just that
Yeah.
individual, but the entire team as
It's got to be
at large.
intentional. It's like anything
Yeah.
else. A lot of this stuff is just intentionality.
Yep.
And it's something to be real clear about. I expect you to do your job the way I would want anybody else to do their job. I expect you to show up and try like hell every day.
Yeah. And when that happens, it's a really fun time
Mhm.
because you get to work with some of your closest people,
Yep.
which is great.
Yep.
Well, very good, Matt. That'll wrap that up. Working with friends and family, always a good idea. Sometimes a good idea, never a good idea. It depends.
It depends.
It depends.
Good accounting answer.
Yep, it depends. And so if you guys have questions out there, have experiences, or even horror stories, we love to hear these. If you have some horror stories
You want to hear
about,
something? Do you want to get something off your chest, or if you need a recommendation for a good medication?
yeah, let us know. If you've hired some family members and it just went terrible, let us know because we would like to read those and laugh along with you. But thank you guys for joining us.
At you, maybe. I don't know.
Not at you. Don't laugh at our listeners. No way, man. Kind of sometimes.
It depends.
Anyway, enough of that. We'll reach you guys, or we'll talk to you guys next week on another edition of the One Step Better podcast. Thanks for listening.